Hello everyone, we're here in Omur town and we have a very nice experiment going on here where we inoculate sprouts with the elm oyster mushroom. These here are the plots of the garden and I will guide you to the one where we inoculate. The whole idea came up with reading a wonderful book of Paul Stamets called Mycelium Running. And there's a description of a master thesis which has been done on the effect of intercropping different saprophytic fungi with crops. And one of the outcomes was that especially the elm oyster mushrooms and Brussels sprouts work really well together. So they could enhance the yield of the Brussels sprouts by 200%. On top, mushrooms, edible mushrooms, came out. Another reason why we do this experiment is... Hello! is that this place used to be forest, and Esther, the caretaker of the farm, does not want to fertilize the soil with manure or any chemical fertilizers. So the mycelium should ideally also function as a fertilizer for the next year. And we will see if it works or not. So a few weeks ago we started making this plot. These Brussels sprouts are already grown a bit bigger, and we will compare how the inoculated ones perform with the non-inoculated ones. But today I will show you how to inoculate by the example of these very small sprouts. Here's what we need for the experiment. This is poplar sawdust, which is a semi-hardwood, softer than oak or elder, but feasible for this experiment because it will be colonized faster by the elm oyster mushroom. We are not in the first place aiming at maximizing the yield of the mushroom, but we want to maximize crop yields, mushroom yields and soil fertilization all together. So a fast colonization is actually desirable in that case. Now here we have our spawn, which we cultivated at home. Now let me open this jar, because it looks very nice. Fully colonized sawdust spawn with elm oyster. One advantage of using sawdust spawn is that we already prepare the mushroom to metabolize the poplar sawdust. So in here we also have poplar sawdust. And third, we have straw. Now, just to summarize what we're gonna do, we put one layer of sawdust on the ground, 2 centimeters thick, sprinkle spawn on top of that, another layer of sawdust, again sprinkle spawn on top of it, another layer of sawdust, and add the straw on top of that, because there's not much shadow around. It's fully exposed to the sun, and the function of the straw is to provide shadow and keep the moisture in the sawdust. Okay, let's get to work. So the first layer of sawdust should be 2 centimeters thick. Now this will take a while, so I'm just gonna get to work and show you how it looks after sprinkling the first layer of sawdust. So this is the first layer of sawdust, 2 centimeters thick. We try to keep the leaves off the ground so they can still catch enough sunlight. And now we sprinkle a bit of spawn on top, just that it covers most of the surface. It doesn't have to be a thick layer, just as many inoculation points as possible distributed over this layer of sawdust. So now this is quite tough, so we need to shake the jars a bit to get it loose. This is not a good example, because if the jar breaks, I might have a little problem. And it's really desirable to have it very loose, because the smaller the particles, the more inoculation points you have. That's good enough. The rest I think we can make smaller in the hand. Now here's what you see. Spawn. Smells delicious. Very sweet smell. And this we sprinkle evenly on the surface. Maybe so you can see well, get the camera. Over time this will grow through the sawdust, and to have the sawdust colonize quick, it's important. It doesn't have to travel far distances. Therefore, even distribution. And I might just do the rest and let you see. So this is the first layer of spawn distributed over the first layer of sawdust, and now we repeat the last two steps one more time. So we add 2 centimeter layer of more sawdust and then another layer of spawn. So this is the second layer of sawdust. Here you see a bit different color of the sawdust. That is because there's a little bit of oak mixed into it. Not a problem. Will take a little bit longer to colonize than the poplar. However, the elm oyster mushroom will also like the oak sawdust, so that's fine. And now the last layer of spawn. And a last layer of sawdust. Now that's that. I'm getting a bit sweaty, but we're almost done. So what you see here now, sawdust, spawn, sawdust, spawn, sawdust. So altogether 5 layers, and on top of that we add a layer of straw. As I said before, we want to avoid full exposure to sunlight. There's no shadow here, so we add some straw on top of that. So now there's a whole lot of straw on the sprouts to make sure that these very young plants still get enough sunlight. Just make a little bit of space around them. Will help them grow. And it doesn't matter if a little bit of sawdust is exposed to the sun, that should be fine because we have quite a big area covered here. Hello there. And this is the end result. As you can see, I put some wooden logs around. This is to avoid that the first heavy rainfall will flush all the sawdust away. One last thing to do. We need to add a little bit of water because the sawdust I use is dry, and one thing that mycelium really doesn't like is drought. So to provide it with some initial moisture, we water the patch a bit. It's a cloudy day, maybe it will rain later on, but we don't want to take any risks. In general, it should be avoided that the patch completely dries out. Here in the garden we have the sprinklers, so that's no problem. In case it's too dry, water will be given automatically. If you do this at home, however, make sure that if it doesn't rain throughout the week, you at least water twice, maybe 3 times. The rest is Mother Nature's job. And we see what comes out. I'll be happy to show you the first mushrooms growing here.